Hey everyone, I was fortunate enough to get my hands on this bad boy. And if you want to hear a ramble, then stick around to the end of the video to hear just how painful it was to get this. But anyway, let's take a look at the figures and enjoy the sheer awesomeness of this set. Oh, this little guy's hidden. There he is. There really aren't enough words to describe just how amazing it feels to have this. It's just dopamine in a box. We'll start out by taking a closer look at the display base, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted this set, and then we'll take a look at the figures later. Of course, we all know what scene this base is modelled from, and I think the Black Series team did a really good job here with the paint effects. I've never seen anything like this from them before. So the lava ports into the bottom and you can take it off if you want, and there's also these peg holes around the base which you can put some pegs into to secure the figures to the floor. And the base just has so much going on, especially around the edges and on the bottom here. You can see this gradient of brown to orange to gunmetal grey. I just really love that. It makes it look scorched and like there's lava hitting it. And then of course you've got these little dollops of lava around the floor. To put it back on, you have to align these holes with the pegs on the lava pillars. It can be a little bit tricky to line up, but I appreciate how secure it all locks together. So that's that piece. Now let's take a look at this little robot, who comes on his own lava base. More about that in a moment. He pegs on the same as the main base, although there's only one peg hole here, so it's not actually as secure. There's a nice texture here that feels matted, like it's eroded away from the lava, and he does actually have some articulation, which can really help him stand more securely. One bit of paint that's missing is the blue eyes, which would have been really nice to see. I am tempted to paint it myself, but with this being such a valuable set, I'm not so sure I want to affect its secondary market value. Now, you've got to tweak the arms a little bit to get it to balance, because as you can see, the lava base for him can be very top heavy when a figure is stood on the droid. So I pose it with one arm touching the ground and the other arm touching the lava, so that you can redistribute some of the weight from the figure when it's on top. Now let's take a closer look at this lava, because there is some really cool design here that the Black Series team have engineered. If you look carefully here, you'll see these round gullies that are sculpted into the outer edge of the lava's shape. These gullies are made so that the secondary lava piece can fit in, meaning that you can pose this in 6 different locations around the base with the lava transition looking seamless. There's also some good rotational movement from side to side, so you can really just play around with this and have it fit whatever shelf you want it on, or have it posed in a certain way that's film accurate. This is one of those rare cases where the Black Series team really have gone above and beyond for playability and customer satisfaction. I'm really glad that they've added this feature. Now, accessories. Look at all of these options. A huge draw factor to this set for me is the alternate heads that come with Anakin and Obi Wan, and the lightsaber blades actually are surprisingly fun to play around with. Let's now take a look at the Obi Wan figure, who is posed here with one of those swooshing blades. It's a really nice looking figure. The proportions seem pretty accurate, and the lightsaber hilt is actually quite sturdy, unlike the previous Obi-Wan hilts we've seen, which are quite wonky and made of a very soft plastic, so these extra heavy blades don't sag all that much. I've got his alternate head here equipped, which is the one that's exclusive to this set, and I'd say it looks great. The robes on the torso are a soft plastic overlay, so they don't hinder the articulation too much, and this flappy skirt part of the tunic, being a soft plastic, can bend out of shape if you pose the legs forward, so bear that in mind when you're posing. I always keep a hairdryer nearby when I'm posing figures, so I can heat up bits like this to make them return to their original shape. Taking a look at the back of the figure, there is some silver detail missing from the pouches on the belt, but that's not a big deal. They at least painted all of these details here on the front of the belt, and as most collectors know, it's the front of the figure that counts when you're looking at a shelf. One thing that does bug me is that the hand is too much of an open grip for the thinness of the lightsaber hilt, so the saber does flop about quite a lot if you don't push the larger bottom part of the hilt upwards to accommodate this. It is pretty annoying, and it does limit a lot of the posing options. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the articulation, and the elbow has this really deep cut of a bend, so it can go slightly past 90 degrees, and you can also get him in a walk like an Egyptian pose. The head is on that usual Black Series double dumbbell joint, so it does have a good range of motion up, down and side to side. The torso has a surprisingly good amount of articulation going backwards, and a slightly less amount of articulation going forwards. The arms can achieve a really good outward range of motion going up this far, and it's also on this butterfly joint so it can go forward and backwards. And with this being a soft torso overlay, that doesn't get in the way when you're moving it around. A nice thing about the belt being a separate overlay means that it can also rotate, and this can lead to some pretty cool posing variety. And unfortunately, I would say that this is the biggest letdown of both Anakin and Obi Wan. There is no thigh swivel. And this is a trend that I would really like to see leave the Black Series line, because recent figures have missed out on the thigh swivel. Older figures have it, but newer figures don't. And they need to bring it back because it's such a crucial part of articulation. As you can see, even down at the boots there's a swivel. So why not at the thigh? The knees can bend at a 90-degree angle. I'd kind of like to see more range of motion here, but it does the job. And then you've of course got the ankle rocker that goes side to side and up and down. And that's pretty much all there is to say about Obi Wan, so let's take a look at this head sculpt. It is a real shame that they didn't include this head with a single release of this figure, because it's so good. I love that little hair that's flicking down at the front, and I think it actually looks more like Ewan McGregor than the original head sculpt. Something about the beard looks more bushy, and I don't know, it just strikes me more as Ewan McGregor. I will probably never be using this other head sculpt because this one is just so much better, it's more dynamic and it works better for action scenes. And here it is next to what I considered the best likeness of Ewan McGregor from the Black Series. This is from the original Clone Wars figure that they made with that exclusive Walmart line. And, I mean, the new one's just better. The old one still looks good, but this new one has a better head profile. I was still curious though, so here is how it looks on the actual body. And it does kind of work. It's a little bit wobbly because it doesn't fit properly, but I'd say it still looks good. Now let's look at the Chosen One. It's just beautiful. I have waited so long for Revenge of the Sith Anakin to be in my collection, and most importantly to take photos with. Many times I thought I'd do a custom of it, but I always knew that Black Series would strike gold here, and they absolutely have. I've actually made 2 Revenge of the Sith Anakin figures with soft good robes over my career as a custom figure artist, and I've always been really jealous whenever sending them out to the customers. He has got the additional exclusive head sculpt equipped here, and we're going to have a look later, but I also think that this one looks much more like Anakin. And an important note, especially for anyone that has this set, use a hairdryer on the tabard, because when it's in the box, it's already moulded upwards, and then when you take it out of the box, the skirt piece is just sticking outwards, and I've seen so many photos of this figure online where the skirt is sticking outwards. Please use a hairdryer, put it in a pot of boiling water, that will fix the problem immediately and it will look so much better. Anyway, here is the new wrist peg that we get on this figure. Something that we don't usually get in Black Series is this ball hinge, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of it compared to the up and down hinge or even the horizontal hinges. It would have been much nicer to actually get an up and down hinge, especially on this figure with the weighted blades, because you'll see here, the blades will actually make the hand fall forward because it's too heavy. The joint is just simply not strong enough to hold up these extra blades, and it can be really frustrating, especially as a toy photographer. You're trying to get it in a certain pose and it just will not obey. The body itself though, I do think is almost perfect. It's very much created the same way as the Obi Wan, so it has that soft plastic for the tunic, meaning that especially at the shoulders on Anakin, they're not limited in terms of articulation. And also the tunic sort of has this leathery glossy effect, so that works great. This figure really does take me back to that old 3.75 figure where if you squeeze the legs, it would twist the torso in a slashing effect. Leave a comment down below if you remember that, because that was one of my peak childhood moments, was just playing with that figure, slashing it around. But yeah, in terms of the detail, I really haven't got that much to say about this guy. You can see it is just Anakin. It's pretty much perfect in terms of paint application. Sure, it is also missing those silver bits on the belt at the back there, same as Obi Wan, but everything else is painted fine. Oh yeah, one thing is that I have this QC problem where there's a nick taken out of the back. and that's kind of annoying. It's just straight up damaged. Now, I promise I didn't damage it when I took it out of the box, although the packaging I haven't even mentioned was an absolute maze to figure out, but I used a scalpel blade and I very carefully took everything out. This was not me, the figure just came like this. Anyway, here's the head sculpt. It looks great. Some people say it doesn't look like Hayden. I think on camera, it doesn't look as good as it looks in person. In person, this head sculpt really does look like Hayden Christensen. It's also got the Sith eyes. You can't really see them too well, but I will compare this to the original head sculpt, which has the blue eyes. And yeah, I think this is just a superior option. But anyway, here's how the other head sculpt looks. Again, this also doesn't look as good on camera as it looks in person. It certainly looks less like Hayden Christensen than the other head sculpt, but it's still quite nice. It works very well. I think it's probably one of the best Star Wars head sculpts. Hayden has got a very hard likeness to achieve. Even some of the best head sculpt painters I know don't quite get there. They're always about 99% of the way. So if you're buying the single release, I'd say your value for money, you're still getting something pretty good. But as you can see here, the Sith head sculpt is just superior. And yeah, that's Anakin. Looks pretty great. I won't run over the articulation because it is basically the exact same as Obi Wan, except the elbows can go slightly further. He's of course missing that thigh swivel as well, which is a huge disappointment. But other than that, it's great. And here he is with Captain Rex. And this is something that I've been waiting to see for so long. A realistic interpretation of a Revenge of the Sith Captain Rex next to Anakin. Here they are together, looking very nice. Again, I'm just so happy to be able to see these characters in figure form in a way that's actually done right. And if you have any LED lights lying around, here's a neat little trick you can do to light up the lava. That's pretty much all I have to say about this set, other than the ramble that I promised. So let's talk about the experience of actually buying this set. It was awful. This was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set. However, in recent years, Hasbro have made convention exclusive sets available to the public after the event finishes. Everyone wanted this. As you can imagine, the moment they went up for sale, they went out of stock in less than a minute. For me, I'm in the UK, and I mean like literally seconds. I was there. I was there when they put this up. The very second it was meant to go live. I was refreshing the page and I didn't even see it go in stock. That's how fast it was. But that's fine. I missed out. Oh well, only I didn't. The set then went back up for sale a few hours later, and for less than a minute, it went out of stock. Oh well, I guess I missed out twice. But no! The next morning, the set went up again for sale, and again for about 1 minute until it went out of stock. Okay, now at this point, I'm getting pretty annoyed, but I can take the L. But no! The set then went up again for sale later that evening, and again for less than a minute until it went out of stock. And at this point, I started setting an alarm on my phone every 30 minutes to check the Hasbro Pulse website. The next day, I continued to check my phone every half an hour, and suddenly it goes in stock at around 1 PM 2 days after it was meant to just go up for everyone. And I managed to get one at that point, and I also managed to tell my friend quick enough for him to get one, and this time they were actually available for about 1 hour. So a lot of people, at least in the UK, did get the opportunity to get this. It's the fact that there was zero communication from Hasbro on any social media platforms about what was going on. It was just check every now and then and you might get lucky. And that they didn't even state how many were going to be in stock, they just kept trickling them out over time and we just had to guess what they were doing. It was not a fun buying experience. It was probably the worst buying experience I've ever had with anything. And for one, this shouldn't even have been an exclusive, especially the head sculpts. The base, I guess, could be an exclusive. However, the head sculpts and the hands, they should be included with the single releases as well, especially considering the price of these figures are now going up. Finally, the Hasbro Pulse website, although I've never had this issue, apparently crashes constantly during checkout, which tanks the chance of getting whatever you're trying to buy. My advice to Hasbro would be just let the people have what they want. We're literally trying to give you the money for this stuff and you're not taking it. They should make this stuff in much larger batches so it's available to so many more people, because I actually feel kind of guilty just making this review of this set. I know so many people want this and they can't get it, and that sucks. But anyway, I think that's my rant done, and that's all I have to say about that. This set really is brilliant. It's such a nice product, and I just wish that it was more widely available. More people should be able to experience just the utter joy I had the day of opening this and taking all these photos. It was just so joyous. Such a good set, very good quality, and that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. If you did sit through my rant, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me know in the comments if you think I was right in anything that I said, or if you think that Hasbro maybe deserves the benefit of the doubt. Thank you so much for watching everyone. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.